welcome everybody to Topless Topics, the channel that seeks to destigmatize female nudity through repeat exposure. This is going to be our first official video for Vimeo. So if you guys didn't watch my last video, I'll put a link in the description. Basically, I've switched completely from YouTube to Vimeo for multiple reasons. Biggest one is I'm tired of dealing with YouTube removing my videos randomly because they're like, oh, the poor man. It's like, well, you put a lot of work in the video and then they suddenly remove it and it's just like, bleh. So, forget all that. We're now upon the platform that is Vimeo, which is much smaller, but hey, at least they don't...
Bigger and better things are happening.
Yeah, at least they don't go, oh my god, from the nips, pud, goodbye, get out of here, get out of here. Anyhow, today, the impossible is going to happen, and I have somehow, through dark witchcraft, not the good witchcraft, like, you know, in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but bad witchcraft.
Like Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
The one episode where they all turned into vampires, maybe. That was, oh man.
At least they didn't turn into Girl
Willow
Scouts.
Was hot as
Girl
a
Scouts
vampire.
are scary. You get like a mass of them, and they can destroy anything. Girl Scouts are just
Here's things
creepy.
Girl Scouts. Anyway, today, we're here to talk about male circumcision. I don't know why I specified male.
Well, the thing is, with male circumcision, you got this head, and then they just cut off a bunch of stuff around it, and now it's just
now
like, it looks all weird.
Head.
So, it starts off like this, and then it looks like this afterwards. I don't know. It just
Okay. So, the way we're going to do this, I don't have that much to say about it, because I'm a girl. I'm not, nor have I ever had to deal with being circumcised. There is, you know, the subject of female genital mutilation, or whatever you want to call it, and we'll get into that later. But to begin with, I'm just going to ask you some questions, honey bun.
All right. I'm ready to answer
and
stuff.
And you guys appreciate his candor in this, because it's very brave. It's very brave.
Very brave. She just molested me. Internet saw that.
On topic. Okay. So, honey.
Yes.
Are you circumcised?
Yes, I am. And the doctor hung me a little to the left. Because, you know,
really
circumcision is not a perfect art. Because the doctor, you know, little kid squirming, and he's like, just cut around the dang thing. So that's a little bit of a side note that'll come up later.
Horrible mental image of like a screaming infant. It's like,
yeah, you're like trying to chase it down with giant scissors. Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Oh, why am I laughing? It's horrible. Okay, so you are circumcised.
Yes.
Do you have any memory at all?
Absolutely no memory whatsoever.
Do you know what day it happened? Like the second day, probably?
Probably right after I got born.
Yeah.
All I know is that I was a baby, it was done, and that was it.
Kind of like indoctrination in religion. Like, you're just born into it.
Kind of, yeah.
Speaking of,
it actually was kind of religious, because our grandma really fought for it, and my mom's like, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
And my dad, he was hunting, because anyways, we ignore that guy.
His dad sucked. That's interesting, because before this video, I was looking up like facts and reasons for circumcision, blah blah blah, and I found a lot of different websites with a lot of different political bends. Some were totally for, some were totally against, some sort of towed the line. One of the ones that I saved the link here in my phone, it's by intactamerica.org, so I'm presuming they're against circumcision. But they say the facts behind circumcision, and this is probably pretty, you know, bent, but still, it's interesting to think about. So it's like myth: circumcising baby boys is safe and harmless procedure. It says no fact.
You can't get infections.
Yeah,
it does happen,
risk,
but it's not perfect.
Surgery. Circumcision is just a little snip. This made me go ugh. Surgical removal of the foreskin involves immobilizing the baby by strapping him face up onto a molded plastic board. In one common method, the doctor then inserts a metal instrument under the foreskin and forcibly separates it from the glands, slits the foreskin, and inserts a circumcision device. The foreskin is crushed and then cut off. The amount of skin removed is the equivalent of 15 square inches in an adult male. Oh. I don't know if that's how it's still done.
It's a little scary sounding. And that sounds pretty accurate from my understanding.
I'm just, okay, whatever.
If you've ever seen the difference between a circumcised and uncircumcised, you see a lot of
folded skin.
Skin versus less skin.
So the point of the foreskin, and I should have looked up a link to this, but from what I know from my own research, the point of the foreskin is to help protect the tip of the penis. It's to preserve sensitivity. It's to keep out bad bacteria and keep in the helpful ones. Like, there actually are helpful bacteria. Like, for instance, vaginas have certain...
Not yeast, but they have their own...
Yeah, they have I think bacteria is the word.
Cultures
that they're actually beneficial. They're there to eat bad stuff and get rid of bad stuff. That's why, like, for instance, it's kind of off topic, but it's not really recommended that females douche too often. Douche being when you stick up a thing and you rinse it out and you blah, blah,
usually
blah.
Has some vinegar in it and maybe some other cleaning solvent.
Solution. And you can do that once in a while, but doctors really don't recommend it because you actually have cultures in there that are meant for cleaning you out. Bodies are weird. Bodies and their symbiotic relationships and stuff. But anyway, in regards to foreskin, it's kind of the same thing. There's bacteria inside there that's actually supposed to be helpful. But then again, if you don't properly clean it, and this is what people are saying is the biggest reason beyond religious things why people get circumcised is because they think that it's not worth the risk of a boy not properly cleaning. And I mean, like, I can kind of understand that when, you know, they're little.
When they're little kids, but a lot of times nowadays, especially, the parents, the adults, they're still taking a part in their kids, you know, bathing, cleaning, dressing, up to 3-4 years old. Once a kid
Which is good.
usually hits 3 or 4, unless if they have a particular disability which makes it a little bit harder for them to learn or makes them extremely distracted, like a form of ADD. About 3-4 years old, that's when a kid starts learning to bathe themselves.
To brush your teeth. I mean,
you tell them wash behind the ears, brush your teeth.
Like
Don't
this.
forget, scrub down there. You gotta have fun with the little kid.
You're mentioning this, and I think the big difference is that a lot of parents in a lot of sections of the country and other cultures, it's still very like taboo, which I don't agree with. That you like don't mention private parts for your kids until they're like old enough to be having babies, and then you have this talk, and it's like that's a whole other issue, the talk. But the problem with that is obviously if you wait until they're older to tell them, they're not going to know how to properly clean, and that's how infections happen. That's how bad stuff happens because they were not told, hey, you need to pull the skin back and rub it and blah 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 blah. So
a bit of candor does help,
yeah.
And to each their own. I can understand. Please at least try to do some things for safety. It's like the anti-vaccine people. Like, seriously.
That's a whole other thing.
Just a little bit of candor helps. Just let them know.
You can't just expect the kid to know themselves how to clean it. But so anyway, basically it's a hotly debated topic. I'm sorry, I'm doing most of the talking, but I was the one that was like looking up links about this right before we filmed. So it's a hotly debated topic. There's a lot of people saying that circumcising actually opens you up to disease and HIV and stuff like that. There's other people saying that it protects you. My inclination is that having skin would protect you a little bit unless you like get it cut. And
it's scar tissue at that point.
Yeah, it's scar tissue, and it also exposes. There's nothing protecting the tip. So, but I don't know. That's my assumption.
I really don't have any complaints one way or the other about how much cleanliness or how much protection you're going to get.
Depends on the person.
It's still skin. It's still semi-permeable. Whether it's scar tissue, because I have scars. I played with knives, played with fire. I was a dumb kid growing up.
Not on his penis. He means the rest of his body.
Yeah. But everyone has scars, and sometimes you are more sensitive in that area, especially when you get older. People will complain that, oh, it's going to be raining tonight. I can feel it in my joints, or
well, that's more arthritis.
But no, you can feel things like that. So you get a weird sensitivity, and then you also lose out on some sensitivity because it starts scar tissue.
Tissue, and also just the fact that if you rub an area more, you'll lose sensitivity. Because, like, for instance, when someone's nipples have been played with for like an hour and a half, you kind of stop feeling anything. Same thing, and
I didn't do
dudes,
it. Yes, I did. Dudes
have to. They do, and they have to touch their penises a lot. I mean, they have to hold it, when they're peeing and when they're cleaning and stuff like that.
And when it's in your pants and you're just walking around, it does
it
rub against fabric.
So even if you are of like a religious background where you like are anti-masturbation, you're still going to lose sensitivity if you cut it. This is a really, like, candorous video. Good thing we're on Vimeo, not on YouTube. YouTube is like, what? We don't want people knowing how to clean their underskin. So the thing also that was interesting that I looked up was people saying, for instance, like, oh, babies don't feel pain. Bullshit.
Everything feels pain.
Have you heard the way infants scream when they, like, scrape their knee? So I don't know. I would think that, like, with a lot of infants, especially if they're only like 2 days old, they obviously can't anesthetize them because they're too young. It's too dangerous.
And they also don't understand the reason for the pain. Mm-hmm. But like everything, time heals all wounds, and a baby won't remember that.
No,
unless the baby's like super
super
special, you know, like in the book Ender's Game, like, that one kid.
I was gonna say Lucy, where she's like, I remember the taste of your milk, and I'm like, ugh.
Or another story, but you get the point.
Yeah, no, the baby
kid would have to be super special to remember something like circumcision, especially at such a young age.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying that they'll remember. I'm just saying that if you're telling yourself that your kid will not feel pain when they get their foreskin cut off, that's not true. They will definitely feel pain. And I don't know. I don't have a kid yet, but when I do, I can't really, for myself, I can't be like, oh, I know it's going to really, really hurt him and there's no, definitive health benefits. But yeah, sure, cut it off. Like, to me, that's just, ugh. And that's really the biggest thing. The biggest point of contention about this, I think, is that you're not giving the kid a choice. You're just doing it on their own, and obviously when they're an adult and they can make the decision for themselves, it's a lot more painful, blah, blah, blah. Or it's not necessarily more painful, but it's more, they know.
You remember the pain.
Yeah, you remember the pain. But at the same time, you could be anesthetized and whatever.
So I will say one pro about potentially getting circumcised is that I think the male penis looks better when it's been circumcised, but that's just a visual aesthetic, that's a personal preference.
That's cultural.
And very cultural, too.
Yeah. I've been with both. I think penises are weird looking regardless.
Thanks.
I don't mind them. Like, I have no problem with penises. Like, I know that they're a sense of pleasure and stimulation and stuff like that. So that's not the issue. I'm just saying that, like, I don't know. I know very few girls, I'll say, who are like, oh, penises are beautiful. I'm like, they're just sort of there. So I would say if you are concerned about getting a circumcision because you want girls to like you more, it really depends on the girl. Like, there's girls that prefer circumcised, there's girls that prefer uncircumcised.
That is very
There's
true.
girls like me who don't care. So don't let that necessarily be a factor. Because, yeah, that was another thing that showed up on the website. It was like, oh, if I don't circumcise my son, he's going to be made fun of. First of all, people will make fun of you for fucking anything.
You could just have a weird name, or you could have a normal name, or a way too common name, and they'll make fun of you.
If you just look like you would cry easily, people make fun of you. I am very experienced in that. But yeah, no, that's a silly reason. Like, that's the same thing as, like, people are like, oh, I don't want to give my kid a unique name because they'll be made fun of. Now, my birth name is the name of a common object. I was mercilessly teased, not tilled, I'm not a field. And I can understand that.
But you could be plowed.
Ooh, you dirty boy.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
And the thing I was going to say is that, like, you do have to be somewhat considerate of how you pick a name, because if you pick something like, Demon, yeah, that kid's going to be brutally made fun of. But there's degrees between Demon and Tim, Mary, Brittany, the names that, like, 12 kids in the class all have.
You could tell she's had a little bit of anger about
I'm sorry, I want to name my kids Artemis and Lysander. Deal with it. Anyway, my point with circumcision is that kids will make fun of them regardless. If they're gonna get made fun of, they're gonna get made fun of. So don't let that be the factor.
Oh, and first of all, how are the other kids going to know unless if they're
locker room? But that's
locker
the thing.
room. And nowadays they're getting all angry about the locker rooms.
Yeah, everything changes. Like, kids really don't see themselves naked anymore, from my understanding. It depends on the
There's still a lot of homophobia, and now there's even heterophobia. I don't even know, because it's like
this harkens back to the whole bathroom thing.
There is a huge bathroom debate, and then it's coming up in a different way once again, and now they're just going to make separate stalls for everything, and there's going to be millions of them, and everything's going to have like 10 padlocks on it. We'll call it good.
Yeah, actually, no, we did a video about the whole, like, people trying to have different gender-based bathrooms / unisex, and I don't know if I actually put that on Vimeo, but I'll put that on Vimeo. Anyway, so, to recap, because this video is getting a little bit out there, Health reasons, it's not confirmed 100% either way. I think it really depends on just properly cleaning. Sensitivity, a lot of guys
do have a loss of sensitivity.
Yes, they do have a loss of sensitivity, but if that's all they've ever known, then they don't have anything to compare it to. The aesthetic look really depends on the person.
The person
that you're going with, and honestly, if someone's gonna not want to be with you because they don't like the look of your penis, that's a pretty shallow reason to not want to be with someone, in my humble opinion. And babies do feel pain. And
so the only pro or con we can say is it's your choice.
It's your choice.
It's what you want when you grow up, so don't take away someone else's choice.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say. Don't take away someone else's choice.
So
if it's your own kid, I prefer that you guys let your kid make the choice, but remember, it is your kid, not mine. Yeah. So that's all I'm saying. That's saying
nothing about religious things, and I'm not even going to get into that because, honestly, I am not religious. I am agnostic. I don't believe or not believe in anything. So I would never let me decide if I was going to cut the foreskin off my baby. But
you can see your tan lines. We were in the sun a lot yesterday.
Yeah,
we were painting.
We started painting them yesterday, so we're all covered in paint. But yeah, that's my thing, and that's what I'm trying to say. Is I'm not trying to say like this is what I say in all my videos, but just because it's my opinion, I'm not saying that everyone has to have that opinion. You can have whatever opinion you want. Just be aware of the facts. Don't tell yourself your baby won't feel pain, etc. Consider, that is the biggest thing that I always say in every opinion is try to identify why you have that opinion, how you arrived at it. Like, was it force-fed to you as a kid and you just have been telling yourself this whole time, like, this is the way to think, and then you never really critically thought about it? Or is it something you arrived at from doing your own research? Or is it just the opinion you have because you can't find any other research? And this isn't just circumcision. This is any opinion you have. This is my life mantra is always be critical of your thinking and always try to identify why you feel the way you feel. So that's my thing. So
final quote. I want to say a quote.
Wait, I was going to ask you a really quick question.
What, you have a question?
Yes. So the obvious question is
maybe
if you could go back to the operating room where your parents are getting your parts removed. I'm like, I want to say mutilated. Would you tell them no, leave it, or would you just be like meh?
It's done with. I don't know anything more at this point. I'd have to say meh.
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 But if I did know a difference and it was a difference that would have bothered me, then yes, I would have gone back. But since it's already done with,
if we have sons, are you going to insist on them getting circumcised?
No.
That's different. When we first started dating, you were like, I think circumcision is good. And I'm like, okay.
I've been thinking about it, and yes, it's taken me a while to come to that conclusion.
Oh, see.
But in every opinion, there is a bit of truth. Some opinions may be more true than others, but you must consider all opinions to find absolute truth. It's a little quote by John Stuart Mills. He was a dick in his own right, but he had some good thought processes and insights. So. See,
that's why I love you, because you're smart and you can, well, not why, but that's part of why I love you, because you're smart and you can critically think about your opinions. And if you find contrary evidence, you're willing to change your mind.
Today we successfully talked about penis for almost a half hour.
Yeah! Go us.
Yeah, we talked about penis.
So, that is the video that is on male circumcision, and I'm going to edit now. We're all on Vimeo now. Vimeo's a little weird, but hopefully you'll stick out the process. There's a Patreon if you want to donate. My screensaver just turned on. So, 15 minutes. There is a Patreon if you want to donate to help me pay for Vimeo, because Vimeo does cost money to keep uploading videos, but
link will be included
somewhere. Yeah, I'm still figuring out how to use Vimeo. And also, a couple of people...
Oh yeah, thank you for your donations. It's really helped her out. But thank you everyone. You'll be thanked in the future by name or known aliases.
I will personally thank you in the future.
Did I just say that right? Alias. Oh god. It's
been a long morning. I had to think about it too. But no, the final thing I was going to say is that people have been submitting questions and stuff to me on Tumblr and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I want to know your opinion on this. I want to know your opinion on that. And sometimes it's an addendum to a video I already made, and sometimes it's just something that's not really big enough for an entire video. So if you have a question like that and you know, you don't need a whole video about it, then feel free to drop it in my Tumblr Ask Box. The link is also in the description. Or you can tweet it at me on Twitter if you don't mind everybody else seeing your question. Or you can email it to toplesstopicstv@gmail.com. Yes, I'm still using Gmail even though I'm quitting YouTube because it's there and it's free and whatever. And I'll look at your question, and if it's part of an upcoming video, then I'll just include it in that video. But if it's not, then I'll start doing, I don't know, a bi-weekly question and answer video, I guess. Where
Okay.
we'll just print it out and answer it. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on circumcision and, you know, genital
And I'm just wavy.
altering or whatever. And if you have future topics that you want addressed, like I said, email it to me, Dropbox it to me, or you can leave it in the comments. That's it.
All right.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Love Vimeo. Please don't be as bad as YouTube. Why?
It's abuse.
Yeah.
Ow! Ow! That was a smack.
That was spousal abuse.
Again.
You're really close to the camera.
Is this close enough?
You're so weird. I love you.
Oh my god, my hand looks so close. Sorry. I went like this, and it's like my hand is right in the screen. I was like,
He's new to video.
I was scared.
Yes.